Well, looky here. It's Lace again, talking about voting savvy. This time it's part 2, and it's always going to be called, wait for it, follow the money. What do I mean when I say follow the money? A rule of thumb that has worked for me for years is to look at who has put the most money into a given candidate or propositions especially, and then vote against the money. Vote against the money. In Voting Savvy Part 1, which should be up and ready to go, I talked about the differences between grassroots, grass tops, and AstroTurf, and I'll be talking about it more in an essay that'll be coming out today or tomorrow. And today, right now, I want to talk about following the money. That's a big way that you know whether or not it's grassroots, grass tops, or AstroTurf. So we can have a very benign name, Citizens for Trees. But nowadays, disclosures, both federal and at the state level, force people to say who the major funders are. So if you're seeing Kimberly-Clark, which is a paper company, major funding by Kimberly-Clark. If you're seeing major funding by the United Forestry Association, you are probably going to know that, Citizens for Trees probably isn't as grassrootsy as you think. Now, I want to be really, really clear here. I do not have a problem with large organizations using their free speech rights to advance a position. I am not saying that they should be silenced, even ones I don't like. What I'm talking about here, and I want to be really clear here, what I am talking about here is transparency and disclosure. Citizens for Trees, but it's funded by Kimberly-Clark, is disingenuous as heck. Teachers for Students, but it's funded by the KIPP Academy, which is a for-profit school, is also disingenuous. Here's the thing, though. Most of the big initiatives, most of the good initiatives are coming out of grassroots or smaller organizations, and they are not going to be able to have $5 million to throw on a proposition, or even more. In California, it's getting crazy. It is not a slam dunk. It is not a slam dunk that if one person has raised $50,000, and you can see that in federal disclosure and state disclosure filings, and one person has raised $5 million, that does not mean that the smaller organization that only raised so much is on the side of the right. That is not always true, but it's the beginning of the conversation that you should be having. The conversation that you should be having with your printed voting materials, the conversation that you should be having with radio and TV and internet ads, and also frequency of ad. If people started advocating for a proposition or a candidate a year to even 6 months out, you know that there's money behind it. Those little organizations do not have money to build a campaign and build popular opinion in the space of a year so that there's name recognition and people are learning and taking the talking points of that larger organization with all the money that can just blitz with print and with media ads. This is a big deal. This is a very big deal. Again, this is not to say that it's necessarily wrong, but it is a good starting place.